to the latest episode of 305 Vox Populi here in the town of Miami Lakes. I'm Mayor Manny Cid. Look who we have with us today. We have Carlos Padilla, one of the partners at Chelas here in Miami Lakes. How you doing, Carlos?
Excellent. Thank you very much for inviting us.
I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate what you guys have done here in Miami Lakes, right? So you changed the food scene, taking some risk here in our community, and it's worked out. But before we get there, you arrived 18 years ago from Ecuador. You have an MBA, right? You have a master's in accounting.
Correct.
And 18 years ago, looking back in that journey, owning several restaurants, owning a chain of restaurants, or doing what you do, but when did you make that decision to leave Ecuador and start anew here in the United States, and why did you do that?
So I had the opportunity to come here and to work and study, and I just took it. I have moved and lived with my grandparents in Nicaragua, and then I moved back to Ecuador. And then I had the opportunity to come, and I says, let's take it. So I study, work all the times, and trying to pay my school, did my MBA. But I had always worked in the restaurant industry since I got here. So I realized that my passion was that, even though my accounting degree says something else. But I think that it has helped us creating a very good, solid base to grow and do a business. And at a certain point, I decided to leave the restaurant industry when I was already general manager of a restaurant and decide to go fully in the accounting business. So I started working for Peter Glenn. I was the accounting manager for 5 years. Then I went to a company that it was a private, that it was becoming a public trade company. So we did the whole process of going from private to public. They have locations in Argentina, Dominican Republic, and United States. They were like Apple stores. Through that process, my 8 to 5 job was like, okay, but I'm just beginning my day, So we opened a little place in a flea market selling ceviches only. And from there, we went to Yellow Green Farmers Market, then Mia Market, and then we become what we are right now. We have 5 different restaurants. One of them is Chelas, our biggest endeavor, which we began at the pandemic as a pop-up, right? It was like, okay, what we're going to do, this opportunity, and we just did it. And we've been changing and kind of adapting to the new changes, and so far so good. I think people are liking it, and we're trying to do our best to accommodate the community. I've been living here in Miami Lakes since I got here, so I kind of understand, and I know that it's more like a family environment that we need, in the sense of the relationship between the customers and who we are. And we have been trying to bring experiences to the customers that is not just I came to eat and I leave. We have events, dancing, music, live music, cigars, dominoes. So we're trying to usualize the whole space that we have and the different environments for beneficial of the customers. At the end is what we're trying to make is everybody happy. Sometimes we can, sometimes we don't, because we cannot never satisfy everybody, but our objective is that you guys have the best experience in general.
No, very true. What was your first job in the food industry? What did you do that first day that you joined, that you started working in the food industry? What was that job?
I was a busser, so I was cleaning the tables and cleaning the restaurants at the end of the day. So it was like the server assistant.
So I want folks to hear that. Started off as a busser at a restaurant. What flea market?
When we opened our own place was at a flea market. It was in Tropicana Flea Market on 36.
All right, Tropicana. But starting off as a busser, then coming up with your own concept, the ceviche concept. Was it the ceviche Mexican fusion or not yet?
So at the beginning it was called Tagua. It was just ceviches. And then when we moved to Yellow Green Farmers Market, we became Hotline, which is what we have right now, 2 locations of Hotline in Miami Design District and Seastrong Market in Fort Lauderdale.
But I want people to, especially the youth, to understand that, because people have this misconception, because I'm sure they see you now, 5 restaurants, right, under your belt, and they probably think, a lot of folks think, somebody gave them that. Alguien le dio eso. La familia, alguien le pagó eso. No. Started off as a busser. Yeah. Then getting your own concept in a flea market and putting in that grind. Then going to the farmer's market and coming up with a concept that you did so well that now just Hot Lime alone You have 3 spots, right?
We got 2 spots.
Two spots in the
other
kitchen.
from other
Got it.
concepts, but yes.
Got it. And then the kitchen was designed with hot lime concept, right? That was
Correct.
okay. So think about the grind that had to go through all those years, from looking back today, where you're at, to that first day as a busser. How does that feel when you look back and just all those years? If you could put that culmination of hard work and let those kids know how does that feel today?
I think, in my opinion, there's still a lot of things that I personally have to do in order to really feel accomplished. But what I can say is that the most important part is you to decide to do the first step. You just have to go for it, believe in you, and say, I can do it. I think we live in a country that it brings us the opportunity to do whatever we want. So you just have to move forward and do it, and not just think about it and plan it out and say, everything that you got to do in order to do so. Just do it. If you crash, you crash. You learn from it. You know what not to do, and then you just continue moving forward, and be very consistent. I don't think that you have to be really smart. I don't think that you have to have a lot of money. We have done it everything from, our first flea marketplace cost us like $4,000. That you can actually figure out how to get a loan or doing it. So it's just a matter of deciding to do it and see what are your passions, and go for your passions and see what you really like and just do it.
I love that because we're told, well, you need a plan. You got to come up with this. I know a lot of people that want to open up businesses, but they never do it because they get stuck with their business plan. They come up with this business plan, and if they don't feel comfortable that in year 1 they're going to make their money back, they never do it. Yeah. And from experience, I've owned, just in the town, 2 businesses, and both of them, when we've done them, no business plan. It's like, you believe in what you're going to do, you do it. Right? Right? For real. Exactly. But it helps you get to the point today. So when was that day when you were in the farmer's market with hot lime that you said, man, we have something here. Something is going on that we could turn this into a brick and mortar. We could turn this into an actual location, one in Fort Lauderdale, right? And you have one in Broward and one here in Miami. I mean, when was that day that you knew this is real? So
I always knew that I did not wanted to have like one location or have a living from one location. Our objective is to grow in this industry tremendously. So we needed to start somewhere and stuff like that. And I do believe a lot in power of attraction. If you do believe it, it's going to come to you. So we were at the farmer's market trying to do always our best, not trying to figure out what the competition does or what not. Just do whatever you got to do the best that you can do. And everything else is going to come easily. And so they came to us and they say, hey, listen, we're opening. It was a concept come from what's called Sandrock Market, that it was coming from what's the name of the New Orleans. Okay, and they taste our food, they know each other, and they decided that they like us. So they took us to Miami Design District, which is a prime location, right? It was a Monday to Sunday place already, air conditioned, and we say, okay, we take it. We did some changes. My business partner, Danny, decided to already quit his jobs and dedicate it full time. And we began from there. And then we started having other opportunities like the Sister Marketplace in Fort Lauderdale, and then Chelas. And through the whole conversation, we opened other 2 spots on Miami Design District and Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale is Coffee Puppies, is a coffee concept with crabs and sweets, and we have our own coffee. And the other one is a crab that is becoming an estate concept that we're going to put now. And that's it. It's just a matter of doing the best that you can do, and all the things will flow the right direction.
The law of attraction, man. You hit it on the head. You hit it on the head. So usually the students get to ask you a couple questions. So I know they're excited because you're in the restaurant. You're in that game that changes communities, right? You have good restaurants, and things happen in a community. So any questions that you guys have for Carlos?
What was your inspiration for your restaurant? Like what made you want to pursue a restaurant career? You know what I mean?
So the industry in general is the best way that you can begin your career, right? Or learning how to follow your job, follow your boss, follow schedules, for all of these things. So I think it's the best way for you to begin your professional career. Some people like it, some people don't like it. I learned to love it because I think that it rewards you immediately because that you see the happiness of the customers and you see when they love the food and you love it. In other industries, is more you gotta work a lot harder in order for you receiving a reward. So that's what I believe I love about the industry. And when you get to a point, is where you really enjoy more the whole environment because it's a lot of events and stuff like that. You taste the spirits. You travel to understand those things. So that's where you feel more in love of the industry. But in generally, it's because you are in the industry to make people happy. And I think that's what I love about it. I knew my accounting degree was mainly to give me the basis to be able to grow and to learn it, even though I still love it. And I'm very grateful, and it has given me the money in order to sustain the business. The other thing that I can say is that when you do begin a business, do not begin the business trying that is going to make your living immediately. Plan it as a second thing until you can move on from whatever you're doing that it produces you to give you your living. Because if you do begin a business trying that the next month or the second 2 months is going to give you your living, most likely you're going to fail because businesses get built by time and consistency and client base and a lot of other things. So always plan it on the two sides of the thing.
So you were saying that Chela started right alongside the pandemic time. So naturally, you probably faced a lot of challenges. What do you think would be the biggest challenge in the industry to date that you've had to go through?
Today or when the pandemic?
Well, overall, in the business life, what has been your biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge is understanding customer and listen to the customers, what they want, what they expect, what is their price point that they want, sometimes we can be very hard-headed, that we do believe that that's the right thing, that's what we want. So we always have to be humble enough to understand the customer. And we always learning. I think everybody has their own peaks and downs. But a lot of times we do believe that we know all, right? I'm good at marketing. I'm good at this. I'm good at high school. And we do believe that we just know everything. And we're hard-headed and stubborn. We just got to be very humble and listen a lot to trying to see and make the changes, and just don't think about the changes, act to the changes.
Are you planning to open any new restaurants?
Yes. Right now we have 2 other concepts that we're doing. One is going to be in Fort Lauderdale. It's going to be called Chateau Florida. It's a wine concept with some European tapas. Very, very nice in a very, warm little house with a backyard and stuff like that. We're opening a new thing here in Miami Lakes as well. I cannot give all the details yet.
We heard about it from Phil, but he couldn't give us the details either. So we're starting to put together the dots, right? So it's all coming together.
It's coming together.
Exactly. So there's something cool coming soon, and we're working on it there too.
So at first you started with ceviche, because I'm assuming it's something you were familiar with, given that you're from Ecuador, right? How did you decide to diversify into different cuisine types? Like, how did that come to you?
So that's a very good question because in Ecuador we do serve a different type of ceviche, and here we're serving more Peruvian ceviche.
Okay.
And we began at Peruvian ceviches because one of my partners at that time was Peruvian, and the little truck that we have found, it was a ceviche truck. So it was like kind of, okay, we just got to do it. Go for it. When we did it, I realized that the customers, after eating their ceviche, they also wanted something warm, right? And we went with the tacos. So that's why our tacos and ceviche concept kind of came together, and that's why hot lime, because both of them use a lot of lime and spicy. Okay, and that's why the name came about. Danny's idea on a meeting that we had at a lunchtime. So now, coming back to the question that you do to me is, I'm an Ecuadorian. I believe our ceviches are better than Peruvian, but they don't sell because people don't know or understand that our products. Exactly. So we also did that. We went for what was easy to sell. Don't try to say, I do believe that Ecuadorian ceviches are the best and we're going to go through that because I know that they're the best. That's you being a store. You're not going through where the flow of the business is going, and it's not easy to sell. So maybe when you already have a reputation, maybe when you have already a big follower, you can kind of do something like that. But when you begin, you just got to go with the flow and try to sell what is easy to sell and do it correctly.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you pretty much figure out what marketed good, what sold.
Yes.
And then it's all about marketing sometimes.
Yes.
Very true. You guys got anything else, or we're good with questions with Carlos? Incredibly inspiring story, Carlos. I'll be honest with you. And I think for the kids, it's eye opening with the amount of work that you put behind the scenes and where you're at today. But you hit it on the head. There was something you said earlier about food. Food is awesome. It brings people together. We live in a very divisive atmosphere, right? Like people are like constantly talking about politics or this and that. But food is something when you're just say at Chelas and you're having a taco and a margarita, nobody's talking about politics. You know what I mean? Everybody's having a good time and you kind of bring people together. So that is really, really awesome. So the other thing we do, you get to ask me any questions you might have. I know it's a little different, but anything you got for me, Carlos?
I don't want to go through the whole questions that you give to me, but some of the questions is what have been your challenges? What are the recommendations do you actually do? I think a political career is very inspiring, very hardworking, and you have to really understand people and convince them and gain followers per se, right? What are being your challenges? What are the things you like or you don't like?
The challenges are there every day, right? It's hard to tell people no when you're an elected official, right? So being an elected official and seeing, like, for example, I get people that call me all the time on both sides when it comes to trees. I get people that tell me, Mayor, I want to remove my tree. But if we do that all over town, then we lose the canopy that everybody, so it's hard for us to tell people no because they'll immediately tell you, never going to vote for you again. You're not going to remove, so it's tough. But I'll tell you, one of the main things that I've seen, even when you tell people no, just by listening to them, going to their homes, sitting down with them, understanding their perspective, a lot of the folks are like, you know what? I appreciate that. So even if you told me no, you got to listen to folks and at least understand where they're coming from. So I think that's one of the things that's helped me overall is just listening to people, sitting down with people, talking to them. There's a lot of times that I might disagree. Look, we went to Washington. I got back last night and I had to meet with people from both sides of the aisle, Republicans, Democrats, all over the place on issues for our town. I didn't get into our differences. I focused on what brought us together, right? The common sense issues that we can work together. But I think it's a challenge, but that's what's helped me is just sitting down with folks and understanding their perspective, seeing through their eyes, walking in their shoes, and empathy, is really, really important. But that's my main thing. Empathy helps throughout the entire process. The best elected officials are the most empathetic in our society. So,
perfect. Good luck with everything and all your career goals, and exciting for you.
No, and I appreciate you. And one thing I wanted to put on the record, you, Danny, Landy, Mo, the entire team, right? Just the entire team, you guys, for the last several years have sponsored the food at the gala. Ariel was there, And just that gesture alone, what that does for us, it helps us raise, like this year we raised $26,000 for our special needs advisory board. That money goes to doing things like summer camps that never existed before, things like dance classes, a employment class. I mean, across the board and fun stuff. So thank you for not only investing here in our community, but giving back, right? A lot of folks sometimes, you know, they make money, they do well, but they never make their communities better, right? So, but kudos to you guys for doing that. And I think what's awesome is you guys are here for the long term. Forget about the pop-up. You guys are now here for the long run. So kudos to you guys. I know you got a little project inside of Chelas that's very cool. I saw it the other day. So we're looking forward to that, and we're looking forward to the other spot. But any words of inspiration, right? And I think you've already touched upon it. Starting as a busser, changing your career, studying accounting, saying, you know, you'll probably use a lot of the tools now,
a lot.
but changing that career and getting into the food game, starting as a busser, and to where you're at today, I think hopefully by the end of 2023, what is that? Would be 7 or 8 restaurants under your belt. Like some words of inspiration for those kids out there that they understand that our society, that hard work is not microwavable. Everybody thinks it's like grabbing a Hot Pocket out of the freezer, putting it in the microwave, and that's success. You know, you're ready to go. But some words of inspiration to close it out, I think is really important for them.
I do believe that the main focus cannot be money. Money can be main, lost, is material. Your focus has to be what is your objective in general, right? I want to make people happy. I want to make a successful business. I want to have my employee happy. I want to people to grow with me. So you got to find your drive first. And your drive cannot be money, because if it is money, I don't believe, I may be wrong, and everything that I say, I may be wrong. I have learned also that not necessarily what we think is true, right? And true can be not true. So make objectives and create drives that inspire you. And I think that's what is going to make you at the end happy. And always have a balance, which is the most difficult part. It's easy to say it, but it's very difficult to do it, because you had to have balance with your family, with your loved one, with your business, with your employees, with your partners, with everything. So balance means try to create equilibrium in your life, and it's very difficult, and you can get lost on that. But consistency is what is going to bring you back.
Thank you, Carlos. And there you have it, Carlos Padilla, an incredible example of the American dream. Tune in next Wednesday on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So I wanted to thank our sponsors. We're powered by Miami Lakes Auto Mall. Shout out to Fred Senra, who gave the seed money to start this podcast. They're located at 16600 Northwest 57th Avenue here in the town of Miami Lakes. You can reach them at 305-455-3510. Our mural by artist Grisel Gajano. You can reach her at 786-353-8608. The food today, I showed up here and there was nothing left. Domenico's Italian restaurant here in the town of Miami Lakes. Thank you, Dominic. They're located at 13975 Northwest 67th Avenue. And our film production team, Matter Lakes Broadcasting. Thank you guys very much. I know we have some great news coming up soon. I don't think we're ready to announce that yet, but I'm sure coming up next season, we'll make an announcement in December. Some cool stuff going on, so we'll get that out there. And our roadcaster was donated by the one and only Enrique Santos. Thank you, Enrique. Thank you, Harold. Appreciate you guys. And you guys use that for 1,000 things, right?
Yeah, we use it for games. We use it for the podcast, a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate all our sponsors. Make sure you tune in next week on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.